What's up, everybody? It's your boy Marvin Melendez. You're listening to another episode of All My Friends Talk, where I talk to all my creative artists, advocates, and just around amazing friends. I'm really pumped to talk to my next guest, an amazing singer. I randomly found her music, and it's been on repeat for a while now.
Thank you.
So, welcome, Kelsey. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Yeah, I'm Kelsey. I actually just started out putting my music out there this March. So I'm a fairly new artist, but I'm glad you like my music.
Okay, I didn't realize you just started putting your music out in March. So
Yeah.
So just to jump into it, you released a song recently called "Cold Rain," correct?
Mm-hmm.
That song, I've been listening to that song nonstop. Um,
Really?
yeah, it's
That's
a dope
awesome.
song. I like it. It's super catchy, super fun to listen to. I don't know.
Thank you.
I feel like you got like a lot of swag in your music, so I think it's dope.
I try.
Yeah. So okay. So let's start from the beginning real quick, because you've been doing music though. Like you started as a solo artist recently, but you've been into music for a minute, right?
Yeah, so it really started in high school, like freshman year. Even earlier when I was 14, I had a friend who played guitar, and I would manage us in high school just to get some extra cash. We would play weddings, we would play private parties, you name it, we would do it. We would go to local coffee shops and we'd be like, hey, we can play this amount of songs for this, this much. And I was basically our manager, so I would go around and do that on the weekends. To get some money. We saved up some money. We did some studio work as well. But we mostly did like whenever we would go to local places around town, we do like covers. And then eventually we started writing our own music. So that was really around 16 when I started like putting out originals.
So wait,
This March was only under Kelsey. This March with Cold Rain was only under my solo name, Kelsey.
but you said you were managing yourself. So what?
Mm-hmm.
So like you were calling all the gigs. You were the one setting everything up. Did you have anybody show you, like what brought up the idea for you to do that?
I think it was my dad. My dad's kind of a hustler with just life in general. He's always looking for projects, and I kind of got into that. And I think it was just like, it made sense. I didn't have like the traditional high school job. I was like, I can make, $200 a weekend doing this instead of, $7 at Arby's. So I was like, why not take off with this? So, we had our own little business cards. We had our social media. And it was really good. It was a good way to start out and just figure out, how to talk to business owners, really, because in Pittsburgh, at least, live music isn't huge. It's getting there. But when I was growing up, we were kind of like the only band in our
Gotcha.
little.
So you were able to kind of jump into the market there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we only did it through high school. We both went to different colleges, so we only got to do it in high school. But it was, like I said, it was a great way to like get started, figure out, what people like and how to talk to business owners and manage a group.
So you were a duo, is that correct from what I read?
Yeah, he would play guitar, I would sing. And then we would write together. So either I would say, oh, I came up with this amazing melody. A lot of times I come up with melodies like when I'm driving or something, and he would write the music, or he would come up with some words and I would write the melody to the words. So we were very collaborative in that sense. We played together for 4 years, so we really knew each other by then.
Gotcha. So, but you're not doing anything else as far as a duo anymore?
No, we did record like a 4-song EP. With some of the money we saved up, and I still listen to that. It's on a CD. It wasn't
Wait, do you listen to
released.
So you listen to yourself?
Sometimes, it's nostalgia. Like I literally found it in a box in my attic the other day, so I listened to it. But it's not like you could find it on Spotify or anything at this point. We released it. That CDs were still a thing, so we released it on a CD. And we would sell our CDs like wherever we were. So if we were at a coffee shop, or sometimes we played on the street, so we would, sell it for like $5. as well.
Wow. That's like, I like that. I like that, like that grind mentality. That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, that was me. Well, it still is me, but yeah.
Yeah. And it's weird now. Like CDs weren't that long ago, but it's like, oh my gosh, a
No.
CD. I
Yeah, you can't even find anything that will play a CD, like a car. Like a lot of the newer cars don't even have like CD capabilities, or like my laptop. I can't play a CD from my
I
laptop.
know. I just realized that. I saw this one artist reach out to me about coming on the podcast, and it was one of the first times someone like reached out to me about coming on the podcast. And I was like, "Yeah, let me listen to your stuff." And I looked at one of their promos. It was like, "If you drop a comment, I'll send you a CD of my music." I was like, "Buddy, like that's a terrible promo. Like,
Yeah,
no offense." I was like, "That's
that's
not gonna
also
work." But
that's something that record labels get a little bit annoyed with. Like people will send like mass CDs to like all these labels, and they'll be like, "Dude, just send me your Spotify code." Like I
yeah.
I don't listen to those. So yeah, it's definitely something that's phased out completely.
So, are you still managing yourself?
I am. I'm managing myself. My girlfriend does the creative stuff, so she'll do like the photos, and then I'll also work with like local videographers as well to do like music video stuff. But it's basically me and her. I built my website, and anybody who's inquiring about stuff that I do, they go through me right now. I'm
Gotcha.
kind of waiting. I'm waiting until I have like a bigger body of work to then
Yeah.
look for a manager full time, because you know right now everything's slowed down. So
Yeah.
I'm working on, while we're in coronavirus era, I'm working on just writing a lot and creating a lot of stuff. So like you can do video shoots, you can do photo shoots and not be around a ton of people. And while there's no real shows going on, I'm just trying to build like a bigger body of work.
Yeah, no, and that's dope. And I respect people who are working hard through the quarantine. Like, okay, you
Yeah.
can't, like for stand-up comics, you can't,
Yeah.
maybe you can't do live shows, but you can make like funny YouTube videos or something. Or
Right.
for musicians, like, okay, I know you can't play at your venues anymore, and that sucks. But like, I mean, I see
But
you're
yeah.
posting, like you've been posting stuff like you playing the ukulele or and things like that.
Yeah.
I've seen you do that. It's like, look, like or for me as
Could
a
do so.
podcast, when I launched this
Yeah.
podcast, I had another one with a buddy of mine, and we weren't doing the podcast. He's like, bro, Corona just hit where we are. So my wife, she's a nurse. I'm taking some time off from the podcast. I was like, all right, I'm gonna launch my own podcast. It's like, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
zoom everybody in, and like just make it work. Like find what you have around you and figure it out from there.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. That's actually like when this all started. I don't know if you noticed, but like because people were trying to do remote stuff, all of the microphones were going out of stock on like Amazon, because
yeah,
everybody was trying to like either do their own podcast or record from home. So it's really interesting how like people's mindset changes. Either they learned a new way to kind of get through it, or they kind of were like, you know what, I'm gonna relax for a few months. It just
yeah.
depends on the person, I guess.
So let's talk about something real quick about your song "Cold Rain," which is, like I
Yeah.
said, it's so much fun to listen to. I like it a lot. Now,
Thank you.
so what can you break it down for me? Like, what was the song about? Like, what made you write it? Like, what was like? Just
Yeah.
give me the details behind it.
So Cold Rain, technically, I'm gonna be personal here. Like I hate rain. Cold Rain to me represents like a hard time. So when I'm basically saying in the song, it was a hard time when I initially wrote it. I was going to go to law school. I had just graduated from business school. I went to business school so that I could do what I'm doing now, which is manage myself. But I was kind of like at odds with myself. I was like, should I take the traditional route and go to law school, make my parents happy, and like do the traditional successful thing to do,
Yeah,
or should I follow my passion while I'm in my 20s and go all in so that it can work out. So I was like debating between those two things, and Cold Rain to me is symbolizing hard times. So that's whenever me and my girlfriend were kind of having rough times because of that transition. I would have to move like basically on the other side of the country for law school. I was looking to go to somewhere in Texas, which would be really long distance for us. And it's basically saying like, can we withstand this through the cold rain, through the hard times? So it was kind of a relationship song, but you could apply it to hard times in your life too. Like, I was specifically asking like my girlfriend in the song, like, can we make it through this? But also, like, when I think back on why I wrote it, also wrote it, can I make it through this and like stay true to myself? Can I make the decision that's going to be best for me throughout, you know, like if I look back in my life, did I make the right decision coming out of college? So it was all of those things culminating into a song that's like, can we feel it still underneath the cold rain? So like, can we feel that? Can we feel love? Can we feel content even through hard times? So that's
Yeah.
kind of like where the song was for me.
So can you break down? Sorry, there's this weird echo, and I don't know what end it's coming from. I'll figure it out.
It just started.
Yeah.
Dang it.
But there's a your music video though was dope. Like it was, I felt like it was
Thank
really, really
you.
well done. What was like? Can you give me the background? Like who shot that? Like what was the what happened with that? How
Yeah.
did that come around?
So Benton Palermo was the director. He's a local videographer in Pittsburgh. And whenever we were talking through sort of like the treatment of the music video, we talked a lot about like Pittsburgh motifs because I wanted people to know in the debut music video like where I was from. Also for me, just like the places that it was shot in, you know, mean a lot to me because I'm from Pittsburgh. And we tried to make it like kind of dark. There wasn't any actual rain, so like the brick wall where there's the rain, like that's fake, obviously, if you couldn't tell. So we tried to make it like very dark, cinematic. That's my girlfriend in the video. We chose that A because I didn't have anyone else, and B, we also wanted like to personalize it so it would be a conversation piece, just, you know, like having someone that I love in the video too, just for my first one, just to like, you know, create a story around that, mostly just centered on Pittsburgh, and to kind of like make a story. We fought in the little tea station. It was supposed to be like a fight, and then at the end we reunited. So that was sort of like the motive behind it, was to just show where I was from and kind of show me as a person, you know, this is my girlfriend, this is me, these are my emotions, this is where I'm from. So all of those things just tied into one.
I like that. And I like the fact that you try to stay true to yourself. You didn't bring in like an actress. You didn't bring in, you didn't go to New
Yeah.
York, you know,
For my first one, I wanted to be really organic, and, you know, if people had questions about it, like, yeah, that's my girlfriend. Yeah, this is where I'm from. I didn't choose to like shoot it in LA just to like make it something it wasn't. I wanted it to be very organic.
that's cool. Now, something I also read about you recently was that you, and I don't have all the details right in front of me, but you've been doing work for like the public school system to try to help revamp that, or like what work were you referring to when you mentioned that on your website?
Yeah. So whenever I was mentioning the time of kind of like a transition when I wrote Cold Rain, I had just graduated from the business school at the University of Pittsburgh. And I started working in an after school program in Pittsburgh public schools. From there, it's kind of like, it's an enrichment program for students in Pittsburgh public schools that need additional academic support. Maybe they come from low income families. Maybe they just need the support in general, emotionally as well. So that's kind of where I started with that organization. Eventually, after 6 months, I was brought on full time. And then over the summer, I was brought on as the director of the nonprofit. And basically, we focused on elementary schools, but we also focused on high schools. And it's a youth development nonprofit. So we focus on mostly academics, but also helping students navigate the college process when maybe their schools weren't as overly resourced as other areas in Pittsburgh. So we just try to bridge that gap between education and resources. And so I did that for about 2 years now. And then this summer I made the transition during coronavirus to start focusing full time on music, because it just felt like time to do that. The kids, we don't even know if we're going back yet. So I felt like that was like a natural cutoff, because those kids are always going to be, I'm always going to miss them. And I loved what I did in the time that I did it, but I felt like it was a good natural transition point for me to kind of refocus myself. It was just becoming too much. I wanted to do a lot with music, but then I was also working 50 hours a week. Like, where do you draw the line? So that was kind of like my 2 years to sort of like refocus myself and really figure out what I want.
Yeah. I mean, but you also mentioned on your website, so it still must mean a lot to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the experiences I had definitely shaped who I am. Being in a director role at such a young age also was challenging, but it changed. It helped me develop really quickly, like management skills and just people skills in general, and operational skills. My dream has always been to own a nonprofit one day, to start a nonprofit one day, and that definitely gave me an insider look into all of that way down the road after I pursue my music dreams.
So along with music, you also want to do nonprofit work.
Absolutely. That's kind of why I was looking into the law school route. I wanted to do international law, to study international law, and also different languages. I speak Spanish and I speak German, but study other languages as well to help the refugee situation in this country, but also in other countries. When I was studying abroad in college, I also volunteered at law clinics, specifically in Germany, for refugees from Syria. And I loved that work. That kind of got me thinking about what can I do in Pittsburgh. And that's sort of how I found the after school programming, was just because I love that experience so much. I'm very people oriented, but I'm also an artist. So I have to kind of balance both of those things. Because being an artist, you're very self-centered, which I don't love that, but it's a lot of work that needs done on yourself as well, when you're trying to develop yourself. That's kind of why I had to step away from it. But I definitely see myself doing that in the future.
I mean, that's interesting because it's interesting because you have like clearly like a heart for like other people, right? And like just trying to improve the better the world. But even in your music, I mean, you talked about Cold Rain, and you also talked about like growing up, like there's difficult circumstances which kind of got you into writing. Is that right? So like you still like you never
Yeah.
been one to. It seems like you've always kind of like embrace your hardships and like at least use that as a fuel for your music. And then now, I guess, are you turning that into like, okay, once I get done to music, then I'm also gonna give back in this sort of way. Would that be accurate to say?
Yeah, like, so do you mean like the connection really between my music and like my upbringing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you cut out at the end, but I think I
Oh,
heard you.
sorry.
What was the end of your question?
Well, it's just what I was saying is how like you mentioned like in your bio on your website how like you wrote about some difficult circumstances, which is kind of
Yeah.
what got you into your music, and then like but you see other people in difficult circumstances, so you want to give back. Like
Right.
it's just I just felt like that was interesting. Like how you're using
Yeah,
your music to help build yourself up, so then one day you can give back to others. At least that's what it
exactly.
sounds like.
Yeah, that's exactly the goal. I think I might have mentioned this on my website, but just to kind of touch on it, growing up with parents who aren't together, you're always moving around a lot. It's a lot of driving. It's a lot of getting to know, like, you spend a lot of time with, well, at least I did, both of my parents, whether I was at my mom's house or my dad's house. And sometimes when I was really little, I didn't know when I was going to see my dad again. So I always cherished the moments that I did see my dad. But that's kind of how I ended up figuring out that I was a songwriter.
Yeah.
Whenever I would go on long car rides, or if I was waiting, for one of my parents. My mom was a single mom, so she worked until 7 o'clock. So I took care of my brother from a very young age. I was making dinner for us starting when I was 9, because she would work late and we needed to eat. But basically, all of those things made me mature pretty early, and also made me realize that I was really in tune with my feelings, and I was putting those into songs, whether it was on a long car ride, waiting for my mom to pick me up, I was always singing. So that's kind of how that all started. I think I'm just very comfortable with my emotions, which can help as an artist because, you know, you're putting out what you feel inside to people,
Yeah.
whether that's through a song, whether that's through just being on stage and kind of like, if you have to act, you have to act, or if you really feel it, you really feel it. But that's always been pretty easy for me to do. I think because just from a young age, I recognize that I'm an emotional person. And I don't know if that's from like, you know, my upbringing or whatever. But I think it's definitely helped me as an artist. All of those things, just being able to relate to people as well. Working in the after school program, I wouldn't necessarily say that I grew up low income, but just having that experience of my parents being separated. Both of my parents are veterans. So just coming from a different background, you're able to relate to people in different ways is kind of what I'm getting at.
Now, I mean, right now it seems like you're writing a lot of your own stories. Do you think that you're ever going to transition to a time where, like, you write someone else's stories?
Like writing for other artists, or
Either writing for other artists, or like if there's like ever any like one person who like impacts you a lot, you know, like, no, I'm gonna write your story, and I'm like, would you ever do something like that?
I think I would. I think early on, I want to write from my perspective so that people get to know me as an artist. I haven't I haven't had like, other than like the relationships I have with people, I write about people in my life.
Yeah.
You know, like close family and friends, but never like, you know, I see someone on the street and I write and I write about them. I haven't gotten to that yet. I'm also trying to really be strategic about what I'm releasing. I'm trying to release more like narratives so that people really get to know who I am as an artist. And then maybe down the road, I'll do that. I'm
Yeah.
going to be honest with you. I don't do it too much.
No, that's all good.
Yeah, but as far as writing for other people, I would definitely do that. And I'm
Yeah.
looking into that right now because I think that is also a good way to make your name as an artist, is to write for other people, because then you get into those professional circles.
Yeah. No, and that's cool. And also, I mean, I think it's really brave of you. I think I see a lot of artists, like, or people that I know, where it's like they'll try to write in a way that's, and yeah, when I used to do poetry a lot, I used to do this too, where I'd write in a way it's like, oh yeah, it's my story, but like I'll sugarcoat it, or like I'll
Right.
hide it. I would like hide a little bit. I wouldn't be as like intentional, realistic what it was, but you kind of just put everything out there, and I think that's dope.
Yeah. It's like kind of I mean, I'm starting to do it a little bit, I think, with the sound. I'm trying to figure out what my sound is, what people like, and then keeping that in mind for future releases. But I'm definitely not compromising on like the lyrics or anything. You know, I wouldn't say like, oh, singing about X, Y, and Z is popular right now, so I'm going to sing about that. Like, that's not happening. But as far as musically and production wise, I'm trying to take note of what's taking off and try to incorporate that in my music.
Yeah, it's awesome. Listen, it's been so great talking to you. You are,
Yeah, thank you
like,
so much.
even just having this conversation, I was like, it makes you more confident with like the trajectory that you're heading in. So I'm so pumped to see where you go.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much.
Real quick, where can they find you if they want to learn more about you?
Yeah, so the easiest way is Spotify. If you just type in one of my song names and then you type in my name. So like, for example, middle school, Kelsey, or begging, Kelsey, or cold rain, which we talked about a lot. Kelsey, if you just put my name after the song name, I pop up. There are a lot of Kelseys. So you have to put the song name too. And then I'm trying to think, I mean, I have my newest single, Begging, just came out in July. So that will all come up on my Spotify profile. But all of those songs are on Apple Music as well. I am in the works with some new music videos. So my YouTube channel, if you type in Cold Rain and Kelsey, it also pops up.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much. And for all you listeners out there, thank you so much for listening. If you have anything else you want to say, feel free to drop a comment, subscribe so you can hear more videos. And then if you want to get in touch with me, look me up on Instagram at TheOnlyMarvinGM. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you listening.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course.